Where's the phone?
Good evening, everyone. We done already started backstage.
At
Welcome to the greatest.
Blueprint.
I am Dr. Kathleen Walls, and
I am Deana Davis, licensed social worker and self love coach. My tongue has been
mm,
like tied up all
it's
day.
all day.
Yes.
Look, we was talking about right with the whole topic tonight is about when spirit speaks. Are you listening?
hmm
So we're gonna we're gonna jump right on into it. But before we jump into it, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And what's going on?
I'm feeling okay. Uh,
Mm,
it feels like it's the end of the week, but it's only Tuesday.
it really does. It for
My
real.
my first 2 days of the week, in terms of clients, were pretty heavy. So
Okay.
I'm trying to like balance, my
Mm-hmm.
energy out,
Yeah,
and
you were heavy.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Because your week started off the way usually your week ends.
Yeah. So it's like,
That
and
makes
I
a lot of
still,
sense.
I have off tomorrow. Like I have no clients tomorrow as of,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
Thursday and Friday I have clients again.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
so nice.
Good. It's a good week.
Yeah. How are you? How are you feeling?
I am sleepy.
Yeah.
I am. I had a very early morning because I needed to be downtown and take care of some business in town. I had an 8 o'clock meeting, so you know that meant I had to get up early and leave to beat rush hour traffic and that whole bit. And I have been nonstop ever since. Hello, good evening, good evening. So it's just been rolling,
hmm
and then dealing with my mom and her health stuff.
Yes.
So that's also dealing with that. So it has been. So with that being said, y'all, we are gonna push it out. Y'all gonna get a real therapy session because y'all getting 45 minutes.
And you know what?
What's
I
that?
found this group on Facebook. It's like clinicians, black clinicians, something something. And
Uh-huh.
someone posted in the chat, why do we go from 45 minutes to why do we go from 60 minutes to 45 minutes? But I think
Yeah.
a lot of those clinicians, they bill, like through
Yes.
insurance. So it's like
Yes.
one person was like, because we need time, that breaks in between. Another
Yes.
person was like, y'all crazy because I'm going to bill for these full 60 hours if I
Right.
have,
For 60 minutes.
why was it 15 minutes on the table? But yeah,
Right. Right.
a true therapy
Yeah.
session is 45 minutes.
Yeah, and it's true because we do spoil our clients. We give
Yeah.
our clients an hour, and that is rare.
hmm
Most therapy sessions are 45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And in part, it is also to take notes,
Yeah.
right?
hmm
And then to have that break in between sessions to go use the restroom, to get something to eat, to
Yeah.
recharge, to cleanse and get ready for the next person, like
hmm
all of that 15 minutes, but really is for the note. So it's about the client you were just with,
Right.
but the client is just not physically present.
Right.
So
It's a wrap up.
yes, the wrap up for
hmm
sure.
hmm
Yes, yes. Good evening, good evening.
Um,
All right, so tonight's topic, when spirit speaks, are you listening? So before spirit starts speaking, we're going to speak and tell you to get your notebooks and your pens. Okay. And you know how many people out here saying that now on TV and on other shows. I said they be listening to us. Right?
the energy is spreading.
I'm saying, right? Give us proper due,
Yes.
right? Because we definitely encourage you to do so. And tonight, definitely so. This topic, when spirit speaks, came up for a couple reasons because spirit was speaking. So but one of the things, Dina had posted a reel the other day.
Mhm.
And go ahead, Dina, you can talk about it. Hey, Shay.
So I posted a reel on Sunday, I believe.
Hmm.
Typically the weekends are like I pray and I meditate and everything every day, but Saturday and Sunday is really my time to really like go deeper, like because I'll have more time. I don't have to
Hmm.
rush with kids and everything. So Sunday morning, I'm doing my normal like prayer meditation, and the message of don't get discouraged, keep going, keep going, came up.
Hmm.
And so it was so loud and clear because,
Hmm.
think about where we want to go versus where we are currently. And for
Hmm.
me, I would say I'm constantly like, okay, God, what am I to do next? How am I to pull in this? Like I know the vision that I have for
Mhm.
myself, my family. So my brain is always moving in the space of like the more, but more so like prepare me for the more. And so
Mhm.
sometimes when it's not moving as quickly, I have an issue with wanting things immediately.
Mhm.
So that's the thing. And so when
Yes.
it's not moving as quickly as I would like for it to move, it's kind of like I
Mhm.
get discouraged. And so in the midst of me praying to not that came up, like don't be
Yeah.
discouraged, keep going. So
Yeah.
the spirit was very loud and came through very clear.
Very
And
clear.
I was moved to spread the message to someone else because I sometimes a lot of times I think the messages are just for me. But
Mhm.
when I share it, people are like, oh my God, I needed that today, or thank you, or we're in alignment. So I
Mhm.
need to share it.
Mhm.
That's where
Well,
it came.
Shay put over on the Instagram side of life. She said instant gratification.
Yes.
And that is a real skill to be able to learn how to delay gratification,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? And that's patience. That's many times characteristics that we don't like to utilize, and we have to develop them. And
Mm-hmm.
I can hear people saying, "Why?" Right? And they'll say, I don't have patience. And I
Mm-hmm.
always think about the movie, I always give it credit. It was Evan Almighty. Morgan Freeman was playing God one more time.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Carell was building the ark. And his wife was tired of him doing it. She didn't understand why he was doing it. And he was saying, like, God told me, right? So it's a spirit speaks. Are you listening thing, right? Um, God told him to build this ark. And so he could not build the ark.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, I've been patient with him. And, da, 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 da. And she said, I keep praying to God for patience. And Morgan Freeman said, do you think God gives you patience, or do you think he gives you opportunities to
To
be
be
patient?
right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so building that. And so many times when spirit is speaking, um, we are thinking that it's going to happen right now.
Mm-hmm. No, sometimes it does.
And sometimes it does.
And
Goodness
so,
knows I'm here to testify and shake a
yeah,
tambourine.
might be as well, right?
Yes.
And I posted another video with a girl talking about like the more specific that you are with your prayer, the more
Yes.
time that it takes.
Mhm.
So that's the other component of it too. It's like,
Mhm.
if you're comparing yourself to someone who seems to be like a sensation, an overnight sensation, you
Come
don't
on.
really know all of the details of what they're experiencing. And you
That's
don't
right.
know if it's like beneficial or financially beneficial or what.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you're like, okay, God, I want to make X amount of money. I want to impact X amount of people.
Mhm.
That's when it be this, you being specific, it requires more time, which means that you have
Yeah.
to be patient and
Yeah.
wait on divine timing. So,
Yes. You said, "Oh man." Right.
yeah.
Well, it becomes so important. So a lot of times I was doing an interview recently and somebody asked me, they said, what is spirit? They were asking me about my
Uh-huh.
book, Live by the Spirit. And
Mhm.
they were like, what is spirit? What do you mean by that?
Mhm.
And I said, I consider spirit that energy, that entity, which is larger than myself, right?
Mhm.
It goes beyond my physical capabilities, and
Mhm.
it is informing me. And
Mhm.
I said, now I personally call it God, but
Mhm.
I understand everybody has different names for it. And
Mhm.
spirit, when I first wrote this book, or actually when I started this series, God
Mhm.
knows that was like, I don't know, 2007.
Mhm.
Um, it was that I found the word spirit to be more universal
Okay.
versus other names which tended to be more specific and then came with a religion, and
Yeah.
then people found themselves very closed, but spirit seemed to be open and more universally acceptable. So
Mhm.
when I think about an entity, something greater than myself, beyond my physical capabilities, that I'm able to hear, listen to, tap into, I know that's your phrase, tap in, right? To tap into, that to me is spirit. So for example, when I am driving today is a great example,
Mm-hmm.
right? Today I had to go downtown, and I was specifically led to go a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what is that? What makes you go that way? And it's just, I get this internal knowing, I get this gut sensation, I get this directive
Mm-hmm.
that's like, you need to go this way as opposed to that way. And it ended up, traffic opened up. It was smooth sailing
Mm-hmm.
that way. Now, mind you, I've attuned my ear over years. I have learned what the physical sensations feel like in my body
Mm-hmm.
when I'm getting those particular messages. And again, it's beyond me.
Control. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's beyond my control and it's beyond my awareness. I physically cannot see that there's a traffic jam. I'm not listening to the radio or
Mm-hmm.
anything right in this location. I'm going with my internal guidance. My,
Mm-hmm.
my God GPS is
Mm-hmm.
saying go this way, and so I go that way and it works out being the best.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what comes up. And so learning to attune your ear to, again, like I said, that which I call spirit, I have found very helpful in my personal as well as my professional
For
life.
sure. Yeah. For sure. For me, I think what was it, like a couple of days ago we were on the phone and I was saying that I get chills, right?
Mhm.
Whenever
Mhm.
message comes to me and I'm relaying the message, I know that I'm on point because I get chills. Like it could be up my legs or on my arms, but
Mhm.
indication that what I'm saying, that I'm on the right track. Uh,
Yes.
so I 100% in terms of driving, it just is a thing where it kind of like just takes over,
Yep.
where I don't necessarily like hear something. It is to like turn. I just turn. And I'm like, what the?
Yep.
Not the way that I go. And then it'll open up, or I will avoid um some tragedy or something,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
avoidance. So
Mhm.
yeah. Hmm.
And so it becomes important to pay attention to, like we said, the internal messages. Everybody may experience it differently. And we're giving you these different examples for it to activate in you and clarify in you how you experience it. So I've had the chills before.
Hmm.
And I remember the first time I started having the chills, and I was like, what does that even mean? And
Hmm.
people would say, "Oh, I got chills and my hair standing up on my arms." And it's like, okay, but what does that mean for you?
Hmm.
Like I said, mine is always a gut response. I just feel it. There's just that knowing. It's so matter of fact, that I have to move with it.
Hmm.
And so I've learned over time the different ways in which spirit speaks to me. Sometimes we see it with repetitive messages.
Hmm.
Like the other day we were talking, you were like, there's no way you would know that so and so said that to me.
Hmm.
And here you come along
Yeah,
saying it,
you know what we're talking about. I remember.
right? And so it's that many times people will say that that's confirmation.
Yeah.
Until you learn to either trust that voice or you've forgotten. Sometimes I hear something and then life does what life does and I don't get a chance to act on it. But then somebody will say something and it's like,
Hmm.
there's that reminder.
Hmm. Yeah.
So now what's it like as far as, and we call that intuition
Hmm.
sometimes as well. And I know I work on that with my clients and I know you do as well. What are
Yeah.
some things that your clients either struggle with about it or have asked you about it?
My clients struggle with trusting it.
Yep.
Trusting the knowing, and I think sometimes just fully understanding it. But I want to say I do a lot of praying that I'm aligned with clients that have
Hmm.
some level of understanding of it, so I don't have
Right.
to do so much teaching. Every once in a while I'll get a
Teaching,
client that
convincing,
doesn't, is not
proving.
fully aware, but
Hmm.
some aspect, majority of my clients are connected in a religious base or spiritual. So
Hmm.
of course, when my clients are more spiritually inclined, it's like, yes, like come on, I'm so excited. I'm like, okay, good, this, okay, cool, like and
Mhm.
it's a very all of my sessions are very engaging, but
Mhm.
the teaching component of it flows just a little bit differently. So when we talk about discernment and intuition and
Yeah.
prayer and praying for certain things and being specific, some people may need a little bit more coaching, whereas other ones they get
Yeah.
it and it's like, okay, I got it. What's next?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see the variations.
Yeah, I like the fact that you gave those different words because I think it's important for people to write down intuition. I just lost the
Discernment.
ones that discernment. Thank you. That's exactly the one I was going for. How did you know? Did spirit speak? Let's right. It's important, right? These again are muscles for you to build.
Hmm.
And you and I were even talking offline. I know for me in school, this was not something that was taught
Hmm.
for me to work with clients about, but I knew that the population that I had planned on working was going to be largely people of color.
Hmm.
And to leave spirit and religion out of the sessions was going to be leaving a large part of who they were out
Yeah.
of the sessions.
And
Now, mind
disconnect,
you,
leaving and
and
dis.
this that's
Mhm.
right. And the fact that so many people of all races and ethnicities are spiritually and or religiously based,
Hmm.
and they base their job, their work, their interactions, their partnerships, their relationships on this part of them. And
Hmm.
if I were not to touch on this part, and I've worked with a lot of different people, I've worked with people who do not believe at
Yeah.
all,
Hmm.
to people who believe that there's something right. So the atheist, the agnostic,
Hmm.
I've worked with people, Muslim, Jehovah's Witness,
Hmm.
Baptist, um, Cogent, Christian in various forms, Jewish. I mean, I've worked with a plethora,
Hmm.
um, and universalists, all of these different. And so it's about them understanding their
Yeah.
beliefs,
Yeah.
right? And making sure that their beliefs are working for them in their life.
Yes. Absolutely.
Go ahead, you got something else to say?
No, because I have not worked with as many
Well, I
religious
got a couple. I
backgrounds.
got about a decade on you,
I
so
know.
it's right.
It's coming, I'm sure.
Yes,
But
it is.
I have worked with Muslims and other sects of Christianity,
Mhm.
and I always connected back to, like you said, their level, their belief system,
Mhm.
their practices. So
Mhm.
with Muslims, I'll say, okay, well, you have to make dua. I mean, I say dua is like prayer. So I won't
Mhm.
say, I will break it down into a language that they understand
Correct.
if
Yep.
I understand that religion, right? So if
Mhm.
I don't,
Mhm.
then I'll do my own research and then I'll come back and I'll say, okay, is this correct? Is this how you do things? Because even
Yep.
in religion, certain religious sects,
Check.
they don't
Mhm.
do things like or orthodox,
The
so it
same.
makes it like
Mhm.
there is levels to everything. So
Always.
I just I just lost my train of thought. I just
No, you were saying that you do your own research, and I was just going to piggyback off of that and say, and then I asked them to teach me,
right, for
right?
sure. Hmm.
Because it's about their understanding of their beliefs and how it's working for them and or against them. So that's why I feel like a book commercial. That's why in my first book, The Greatest Soul Journey. And some people are wondering what this is. This is the proof copy. When we create books, the author's copy gets this so we can make sure everything's okay to go out to y'all. But in The Greatest Soul Journey, that's it. It's taking people through their belief system
Hmm.
and having them look at how it's working for them or where it's working against them or where they have questions.
Hmm.
And that was one thing. And I love it when it comes up in my sessions where clients have questions, and I'm like, go to your pastor, go to your preacher,
Yes.
go to your so and so, get the clarity. And sometimes unfortunately people either don't have access because it may be just the way that the system is set up, or they
Mhm.
don't feel comfortable because they'll feel as though that people will think that they don't believe or they don't understand. And so, but I like the fact that they know that they can talk to us. It's a safe space
Mm.
for the exploration and the clarification.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So now for other clients, sometimes it's a matter of stretching
Mhm.
them to be able to really take a look at this relationship that is guiding them. And sometimes it causes a conflict. I
Mhm.
know one of the big ones that I deal with a lot is, like, for instance, in the Ten Commandments with the honor your mother and father.
Mhm.
And there's like, what does that look like? And what does that mean
Mhm.
in this current social context? And everybody don't have a great relationship
Mhm.
with their parent.
Mhm.
And so, even when it comes to this idea of how do you envision this thing called God, how do you envision this thing called spirit, and really clarifying and breaking down that relationship so that it is a healthy relationship,
Mhm.
right? Number one, and that it's a working and effective relationship, number two.
Yeah.
So, what you thinking?
No, I just had my own thoughts, in regards to that. And it's just about healthy relationships, like both ways. I always think about like just mutual respect and
Hmm.
um as a parent, like creating the environment for such, so it's like, you have to look at how you're parenting, how your parents parented you. And is it a thing where it's like, okay, were you disrespected? Um,
Hmm.
not properly cared for? I think that's the component where a lot of people
Hmm.
miss, where it's like, okay, the Ten Commandments says this, but in your household, you may not have been properly taken care for. You
Hmm.
have been neglected. So, what
Mhm.
what is the answer to that versus
Mhm.
just honor your mother and father? Like, what's the
Right.
between?
Right. Right.
Hmm.
And that becomes the exploration. And I know, I think it was maybe the last time we were on, and we were talking about, right, the trust relationship physically, and how people have to recognize that if there's trust on this level, between you and another person, that really there's trust usually here between you and that entity that you call spirit or God or so forth.
Hmm.
And so, how difficult it is for people to admit that truth,
Hmm.
that they are having a disconnect here, and the disconnect here is impacting the disconnect here on the physical plane.
Hmm.
And so we have to learn to have that honest relationship with ourselves and with this entity that we are so connected to.
Hmm.
Because if we don't have a truthful relationship here, we definitely ain't gonna have a truthful relationship
For sure.
here.
A disconnect all the way around.
All the way, exactly, 360 degrees.
Yes.
And first and foremost with self.
Yes. Hmm.
Right? So we have to learn not to um, downplay things and be honest about it and how it's impacting us. It was something else I was going to say and I lost it. Go ahead. What you thinking?
No, I was just agreeing with you. The 365-degree disconnect and
Hmm.
being true to yourself and understanding that. Did I bring it back for you?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
So, right. So it becomes super important because one of the things and that we find with clients is that they have been given messages, they have been receiving messages, hence
And-
the are you listening,
Yes.
right? They've been receiving messages, hints, signs, confirmations
Mhm.
all along the way that it was either time to
Move.
downgrade a relationship, end a relationship, move on, change a job. And when we're saying relationship, we're talking romantic, platonic,
Work.
friendship, work,
Mhm.
right? Churches. I've had people who was needed to leave churches and
Yeah.
organizations,
Mhm.
all types of things. And so they were getting messages all along,
As you
right?
say, nudges.
Would you say nudges? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. Getting pokes, getting whispers, getting everything. But they,
Dreaming.
come on, tell them, tell them.
So we receive, I think we both receive messages in our dreams.
Yep,
And a lot of times people think that your dreams are just like random thoughts or fear
hodgepodge.
or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And there really are messages. Like if you are tapped in and if you fully believe, like, there can be fears, it can just be like random things. Because sometimes, like last night, I had a very random dream, and I was like, okay, I could not make heads or tail of what they were trying to say.
Uh-huh.
But for the most part, they're messages and they are for you to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So just like the repeated my gosh, confirming conversations.
That's why we ended at 8:45
I
because
cannot get it together.
right.
The
Come on.
repeated confirming conversations.
Yes.
You may hear a song repeatedly that is trying
Come
to get
on.
your attention. You may see
Yes.
numbers repeatedly that mean a significant thing for you. It could be someone's birthday. Like I always see my birthday or at least once a day.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is asking you to do a deeper dive into those things. So if it's a song, look up the lyrics. We have done that so many times.
Yes.
I'll say, this song keeps playing in my head. She on the other end of the line. Well, it says, da, 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 da. So what does this line mean? Everything has a meaning.
That's right.
She cracking up
That's
because she
right.
did that the other day.
I sure did. She told me to bring it down. She said I was being too theatrical in my reading
Yes.
of it.
Like, girl, calm
I
down.
thought it was on point.
No. So everything has a meaning. There are no coincidences, but you really have to pay attention and
Yes.
attune yourself to the messages to fully receive it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so to that point, right? So we have different types of dreams.
Hmm.
So you do have your just hodgepodge. You watch SpongeBob and Teletubbies and Mission Impossible, and at the end of the night, you
Everybody.
dreaming about all everybody mixed together, right? And it's like,
Yes.
what the heck was that, right?
Right.
But then you have those dreams where they are symbolic for you, and you have to learn what those symbols mean.
Hmm.
And then sometimes you have repetitive
Hmm.
dreams, and it's just, or they call them reoccurring dreams.
Hmm.
And then there's other dreams that you had a long time ago, but you're still, I hear somebody saying yes, yes, right, that you had a long time ago, but you still remember it as if it happened yesterday. Those are those dreams where there are embedded messages and meanings for
Deep.
you.
Hmm.
Right, and it becomes very important for you to understand what the symbolism is. So one of the things that I always ask anybody who will text me or call me and ask me about a dream, or even clients who bring it to session, um, what did you feel when you woke up?
Hmm.
Right. So I encourage everybody to write down their dreams. That's first and foremost. Keep a
Hmm.
book next to the bed, write down your dreams.
Or put it
Then
on.
or put it in your phone, right? Or speak it into your phone, right? Some way, get it out of your system.
Hmm.
Then make sure you identify what you felt during the dream as
Hmm.
well as when you came out of the dream, because your body, your mind, and your spirit are all connected. So you got to do that. As you're retelling dreams, sometimes people say, well, I don't remember all of it, I only remember a piece of it. Well, just write down the piece of it, because it literally will unlock
Hmm.
other memories in it, but you got to get it out.
Hmm.
Then once you get it out, like I said, then you'll start to see things, and you'll ask yourself, what do these symbols mean to you? So for instance, one time I had somebody tell me that they were dreamt about an old washing machine, and I said, well, what do you mean? Like, are we talking like the one where you rub the
Hmm.
stuff and everything? And they were like, yeah. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting. Oh no, it was the basin with the thing, and then they crank it and it goes through. And so I was like, wow, that really is old school. And they were like, yeah, like the kind that was on my grandmom's porch down. And it was like, oh, tell me more about your grandmom.
Yes.
Right. And then it went into this whole story,
Hmm.
and they were like, dang, I haven't thought about that in years. And then it made a connection to something they were dealing with now, and it helped unlock that moment. And I said, see how that washing machine, that old time washing machine, that meant nothing to me. I have no connection to any washing machine that looks like that.
Yep.
But to that person,
Mm-hmm.
it meant a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so, yes, you can go online and you can Google these different dream symbols, and sometimes it is on point for you and it will open up or lead you. But sometimes it's literally just you sitting with yourself and saying, what does this mean to me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Go
I
ahead. You look like,
don't have I really don't. I've been on both ends where I had to
hmm
look up the meaning of certain things because it would be I would have a dream that I couldn't find my parked car.
hmm
So for me, I'm like, okay, this is not connected to anything or anyone. So I had to look up the meaning of dream about missing parked car, and then
hmm
based off of the meaning that resonated with me the most, that gave me
Yes.
the answer.
Yes.
Um, so I just been on every end of the
Yes.
spectrum with dreams.
Yes. Yes. And again, right, we're saying, are you listening? Because if you think about, spirit like a child,
Mhm,
in the sense that a child will try various ways to get your attention,
mhm,
right? They'll poke you, they'll call, goodness knows, they'll call your name,
right.
they will, right? They'll
I
get
can
out in front
or
of you. Would you say?
knock it.
Knock on the door. They'll knock on the door. They'll sing a song. They'll dance. They'll knock stuff over. They'll do all types of things to get your attention until finally you say, what? Right? Spirit is, in a sense, doing that as well. Spirit is speaking to you in so many different ways, and it becomes so important for you to learn how spirit speaks to you, to
Mhm,
learn spirit's language to you, because the way spirit speaks to me may speak to Deana differently.
mhm.
And so it's because we have a different
Me,
relationship,
yeah.
right? And so when we say attune your ear to spirit so that you can listen, and again, definition of spirit, mine is that it is something greater than myself that wants the best for me,
Mhm,
right? So why would I not attune my ear to something that wants the best for me? I remember one time when we were working at the school, um, and this little boy, he said he was mad. He had gotten put out of class. He was having a tantrum and so forth. And so I'm talking to him, and he's still all balled up and kicking. And so I said, and he's talking rough to me, and I'm
mhm,
talking just as sweet as I can. And I said, am I saying anything to, like, to make your life bad? No. I said, then I'm trying to understand why I'm getting all of this negative energy, and I'm doing things to help you have a better school
mhm,
experience and life existence.
mhm.
And he was like, I know, Dr. Walls. I'm just, and it was just like, and it
Sound
was
like
like, you're
somebody else
just
we know.
what?
Look, you heard me.
What would you say?
Sound like somebody else we know.
Uh-huh. Right. Exactly. Exactly. It's, you're just what? And he's just, I know you're trying to help me. Okay. So let's bring it down like 10,000.
Mhm,
And and that's the whole thing, right? Spirit is only trying to help you and guide you and remove you from situations that are not for your greatest good.
mhm,
And so learning what that sounds like, learning what that feels like. I mean, there were times where I would step into situations and my stomach would be like, girl, get out of here. Like I'm
mhm.
doubled over, not feeling well. You're not supposed to be here,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? Get up and get out.
Yeah.
And for whatever you can tell people you got to go, you can just roll out.
Mine's would just it just would never pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Or I will never get to like I never get to the space. It's always
Uh-huh.
stopped before. So I've never fully experienced like what you experienced where you're there,
Mm-hmm.
your stomach is like turning it always
Mhm.
falls apart prior to, or I just have a knowing like,
Mhm.
I'm not supposed to go, and I just don't go.
Yeah. And so, right, to be able to work with that with clients where it was like, how many times were you stopped?
Yeah,
But yet you
kept
persisted
going.
and insisted on going. So again, I have not listened to the Risa Tisa miniseries, but from what I understand, at some point in there, like I think the first date, she had a flat
Yeah.
tire,
Mhm.
something else happened. Like there were all of these, and she was saying, and somebody told me, she said basically in hindsight, it was those were all of the roadblocks, but she didn't take them.
Mhm.
And so where in your life, are you getting roadblocks for you to stop?
Mhm.
Because this is the piece on discernment,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes there's those roadblocks for you to stop,
Mhm.
and sometimes there's those delays for you to develop perseverance,
Mhm.
determination, and diligence.
Mhm.
And so it is really through practice and living and paying attention that you start to discern what that difference is for you.
Mhm.
Anything you want to say about that?
No, no, no. You
Yeah, I,
hit it.
I, yeah, I had a situation the other day, just literally within the past 24 hours,
Mhm.
and I was trying to figure out. I was like, why is it? Oh, I'm sorry, it was earlier today because I've had a heck of a 48-hour period.
Yes.
So, um, but it was today. I kept trying to email something. It was the oddest thing. I kept trying to email something, and every time I would put the first two letters in for the email address,
Mhm.
the system would shut down.
Mhm.
Every single time. This must have happened 7 times.
Mhm.
And so then I tried to transfer it onto my computer and put it that way, it wouldn't transfer. I'm
Mhm.
like, "What the heck is going on?" And I had just sent an email, so I knew it worked. So
Mhm.
I was like, "What is going on?" And then lo and behold, um, it revealed itself. And here
Mhm.
I go, "Oh, it wasn't I wasn't supposed to send that." I
Yeah.
had already sent something out. Here I go, "Oh, okay, thank you."
Mhm.
Right? So you have to learn what that is. Even yesterday, so this is I'll have a testimony, my own tambourine testimony moment. Um, of course, I got a theme song playing in my head. So
Mhm.
I decided to take an Uber, or excuse me, a Lyft. Let me give the company credit, Lyft,
Mhm.
down to City Hall yesterday because I need to take care of some stuff downtown.
Mhm.
And so because I knew I was running tight on time because most things close between 4 and 4:30. I looked to see what time they closed. They said 4:30. I said this way, if I just take a Lyft, I won't have to worry about parking and trying to
Mhm.
run. So they dropped me off right in front of the door, jump, go take care of my stuff. Security guard is standing outside the door and he was like, "Oh, they closed." Here I go. No, they said they closed at 4:30. Now, meanwhile, I hear spirit saying, go in there. And I go, "You sure?" I said, "Ain't nobody in that office." He said, "You can go in there if you want to." He said, "But I just talked to them. They told me to leave it here." I go, "Okay, no problem." So I went on in. And as soon as I went to go try to get in, this lady came out. And I said, "Are you working there?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "The website says y'all close at 4:30. It was like 4:06."
Mhm.
And she said, "Really?" She said, "Oh, we stopped seeing clients at 3 o'clock."
Mhm.
I said, "Now maybe I missed that on the website, right?" So I said, "Can I just ask you a couple questions?" And she was like, "Sure." And she was just as pleasant as she could be. She said, "Sure." So I asked her a bunch of questions, and we're standing outside the office. I'm not inside. And I said, "Okay, thank you very much." She said, "Come back at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and we'll take care of everything." Well, I was supposed to have a 9 o'clock meeting this
Mhm.
morning. So I said, "Oh," I said, "I can't come at 8 o'clock tomorrow." I said, "But another day this week, I'll try my best." So I was like, yesterday was a pretty nice day. And I started to go wait outside, and Spirit said, "Stay right here." And I stood right there. And I waited and I called Edmund. I said, I'm ready. And so he was like, okay, I need some time, but I'm on my way. So I said, okay, fine. So I'm staying inside the building. And this other lady comes out. And I said, you work in there? She said, yeah. And I said, and mind you, I'm being nudged, like ask her. And I said, I said, the website says that y'all close at 4:30. She said, I know. We've been asking them for months to change that. She said, we actually close at 4 and da 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 da. And I said, okay. She said, well, what is it that you need? And so I explained my situation to her. She said, come back tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. I said, I can't come tomorrow at 8 o'clock because I got a 9 o'clock meeting. She said, well, call me at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And she gave me her number and so forth. I said, fine, thank you. To which point now it's like, go outside. So I go outside and I'm waiting. It's a nice day. So I'm getting fresh air. I'm happy about that. And my 9 o'clock meeting got canceled today. So I jump in my car. And now, mind you, had I taken a car yesterday, I would have never stayed outside. I would have been gone. So I get in my car this morning, and I was gonna take a Uber, a Lyft this morning, and but then when I saw the price, I said I ain't doing it. So I drove down, and I got down there. I called the lady at 8 o'clock, and she didn't answer the phone. But I was like, "That's all right. I'll be inside the building by 8:10."
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, was inside the building by 8:10. Lady came out, and then she took me to this other lady. She
Mm-hmm.
remembered me from yesterday, took me to this other lady. I started working with her. When I showed the first, I'm sorry, I showed the first lady, told the first lady what I needed. She said, do you have the document? I showed her the document. On the document, there was a post-it note. I never took the post-it note off. That post-it note has been on there since 1992.
Mm-hmm.
She looked at the post-it note and she said, that's my handwriting. Look at your face.
What?
She said, that is my handwriting. She
Wow.
said, you need to go over here. So then I went over. She took me to the other lady. I explained to the lady what I meant. She said, I know. Look, Tia. She said,
Yes.
right? So I went now and I'm sitting at this other lady's desk. And I said, I was there to do something for my grandmother. And my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother passed in 1991. And so I said my grandmother's name. And she said, I just heard that name. She opens up her file, flips it back, and on February 16th, she had taken care of a document for my grandmother. Okay. So all I could do was say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Because had I not gone down yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
had I not taken an Uber, a Lyft, let me get Lyft right. Had I not taken a Lyft, I would not have been standing there. I would have not met those two women. And then to come in today to then sit with a lady who she directs me to sit with a lady who had just been dealing with some of my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother's documents
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
February 16th, 2024. My grandmother passed in July 1991. Okay. And so, yes, this is my tambourine testimony, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And she was able to direct me to everything that I needed to do, and then sent me to some place. Then made a phone call, found out some new information. They thought they were going to have to send me somewhere else. It turned out they could send me somewhere else. Went to go take care of that. Was the second person in that particular line. Came back. She was like, "You gonna come back?" I come right back. Dealt with the stuff. Wrapped everything up. Literally signed, put the seals on, and took care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could say was, "Look at God." So testimony testimony Tuesday, and tambourine testimony.
Yes.
So the power and the importance of listening when Spirit speaks. And the lady said to me, she said, "Thank goodness you came today She said, because you got the three of us, because there was one other lady that was brought into the mix. And they tried to tell her that I had to leave my original paperwork down there. And she came over and whispered in my ear and she said, I don't think that's true. I'm going to call a judge. And so she did. And sure enough, she was like, no, here's your original stuff back. So the lady said, thank God you came today because you got the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was everything was smooth and easy. She said,
Mm-hmm.
had you not gotten the three of us, I guarantee you would have been frustrated.
Mm. Okay.
All right. So if you get any message tonight, y'all, pay attention when Spirit speaks.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, be obedient, follow the directions. Now, first, yesterday, I will say that I was annoyed because I had spent $30 to get downtown for them to tell me they was closed. But when I look at the alignment, and this is where, and I was laughing because heard you talking about you talking about me. I trust the process because I trust the processor,
I
right?
was watching you.
Yes. And that's when I stood outside that office, and I was like, Kat, you already know how spirit works with you.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to come down. You don't know why you had to come down here. You don't today. You don't know why that had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I came back today, when that meeting was canceled, and I came back today, and everything fell like that, I was finished by 10 a.m. I
Mm.
was back home and in time for my 11 o'clock appointment.
Okay.
So y'all, pay attention,
Yes.
listen,
Mm-hmm.
be obedient, practice,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your discernment,
Mm-hmm.
practice listening to spirit, write your stuff down so
Mm-hmm.
that you could get clear. And once you learn these things, trust and believe there'll be pop quizzes for you to apply your lessons. Then there'll be cumulative exams, there'll be midterms, there'll be finals, but you will pass your test.
Yes.
Okay. And everything's not a test. Sometimes things are just a lesson. So
Mm-hmm.
don't try to say everything's a test. God's not always testing you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just a lesson for you to learn a skill and learn what it feels like in your body, learn what it feels like emotionally, and then go from there. There we go. I'm going to let you answer this one.
What does it say? How do you know if it's spirit or it's just your own head? Mm. Um, I would like to say, if it's in your own head, it's typically more negative, and you can
Mm-hmm.
correct me if I'm wrong. Because if you're basing it off of your previous experiences that have not been favorable, then
Mm-hmm.
typically your head is going to keep you in that space of like, no, it's not good, it's bad. You're always going to seek the bad or the negative in a situation. But
Mm-hmm.
the spirit is going to feel more light. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
feel right. You're not you. The only way that you would second guess yourself is if you get in your own way. But if
Mm-hmm.
you are asking to be in alignment, asking to for things to be revealed to you, asking to release certain energies and things like that, you will be in alignment to receive the messages. So typically it's not going to be negative, it's going to be in your best interest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna say yes and right.
Mhm.
So we're each for each person it's going to be different, and this
Yeah.
is why I say practice and
Mhm.
become aware, and then you start to collect the data so that you can discern the difference.
Mhm.
To Dina's point about it's going to be in your best interest. Sometimes you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's a bad thing,
Mhm.
right? It's not your idea.
It's the push.
Sometimes, right? Sometimes it's not your idea, so you know it was a divine download that is just like, okay, I would have never thought to do that. Sometimes you don't want to do it. As Dina said, it's kind of like a push to do something. Again, that's in your best interest, it's favorable. Sometimes you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Usually, when it's you, it's ego driven.
Mhm.
All right. And so you want to do it. There may be some tantruming attached to it. And there's just a selfishness about it. It may be a lack of consideration for others. So you've got to look at all of those different pieces.
Mhm.
I know where at time, I'll tell you a quick story. Spirit told me to take my husband to lunch before he was my husband, and I didn't want to at all. All right. But it was
Amber like at all.
at all. I was doing my treatment plans and quite happy. All right. So, but it was a resounding message, and that was the other thing. It would not let up. All
Mhm.
right. Not a compulsion, but it wouldn't let up. It was just, and it was repetitive, and it was the same. The message was consistent. It wasn't manipulative. And like, maybe if I try this way or that way, usually when it's us, we start to rationalize, justify, shift the message, and so
Mhm.
forth. It was just clear, take them to lunch.
Yeah, that's how it comes through for me too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, just for the quick story, I ended up calling him and asking him to go to lunch. And my husband did not live in the same state as me.
Mhm.
And he happened to be in town for an event that day that I didn't know. So he was like, "Oh, yeah, sure. I'm actually in Philly now." And so I ended up taking him to lunch that day. Little did I know that we would be together from that day forward.
Mhm.
Okay. So in our best interest. And it was just, it was a very, very clear
Mhm.
message.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Mhm.
hope that helps Tier. All right. And
She probably cracked.
also when things are to come to an end. I mean, I've had relationships where I knew it was to come to an end. It was a clear message. You're welcome. There was a clear message when it was just like, there are people that need to leave your life. And certain names just came to my head, just very clear. I wasn't thinking like, oh, who need to be gone? It was
Mhm.
just like, nope, this person need to go. I mean, one time my money got funny, and it was just like, why is my money getting funny? And this person's name sat in my head. And every time I asked that question, the same person's name came to my
Mhm.
head. And I was like, but they didn't do anything wrong. They were a nice person. I enjoyed having them in my life. They just weren't supposed to be in my life at the level that I was having them in my life.
Mhm.
And the moment I deconstructed that relationship, redefine the nature of our association, 8 new clients
Mhm.
the very next day, in less than 24 hours, the moment I released it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's the other thing. The message remains the same. Um, I'm trying to remember what the scripture is. I got some scripture people on here. What is it? I am your Lord God, I changeth not. Right? The message remains the same.
Mhm.
So get to practicing. You know what you know. You know what look, you know what you're supposed to do. All right, y'all. There's a little extra 7 minutes, but we are going to be out for give them your website, your social media, your books, and you got a new book.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm like, stop, y'all.
there goes Tiara. Look at Tiara.
Listen, because I hear her tonight, so yeah, she already know. Um, Book. So I have a new 90-day self love planner.
Mhm.
It is available in digital copy, digital download, and
Mhm.
Amazon,
Mhm.
paperback and hardback. So every link is in my bio. My Instagram handle is at Deana Deana Davis underscore LSW, and it's the same for TikTok as well, and it's the same for YouTube. So
Mhm.
all handles are the same. And yeah, that's it.
Fantastic. All right. And for me, all my handles are Ask Dr. Walls. YouTube is the only one that's got a little extra, which is Ask Dr. Walls 525. Please make sure you subscribe. I have some more shows coming up tomorrow at noon. It will be Wealth Wednesday. So anybody who's interested in increasing your wealth, be sure to join us tomorrow at noon. It'll be me and Brian Brogan talking about don't create a budget. Hmm. All right.
Mhm.
And so we got to look at financial wealth. There's also a link in that show that's going to be coming up so you can learn about your financial DNA. So
Mhm.
be sure to go on there and do that as well. That's right. Amen to increase. So that will be tomorrow at noon, and then and that's Eastern Standard Time. And then on Thursday will be Sisters for Harmony. We'll do that at 7 p.m. And I think that's it for a little bit, but I got some other stuff popping up. So I'll always be on the lookout. And as always, my books, The Greatest Soul Journey, Live by the Spirit, and my babies, The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny. So we got Froggy Fool and Mungu. Bunny Gets Bullied, Feeling Feelings. And the one that set it off is The Reunion. So, uh-oh.
It's
That
the
was Bunny. It was Bunny.
the story.
Vroom. All right. And I'm super excited. I did turn in the final corrections that need to be done on the next Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny. So that one will be out I'll probably drop it around my birthday.
Okay.
hmm So, all right, y'all. As always, God bless. I'm excited for y'all to learn this discernment and
Mhm.
listening. I really, really am. I think that a lot of y'all are gonna really benefit from this. So, and we look forward to hearing about it when we meet up again, which will be the third Tuesday of the month.
Yes.
All right. All right, y'all, go get yourself some books. We got some great ones for you. Make sure, listen to the replay, share the replay with others, and follow us on all social media links. As always, God bless and continue to live your greatest life. And be sure to tap into your greatest.
Blueprint.
There she go. Bye,
Right.
y'all.